which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I have a few opening remarks tonight. As far as coronavirus update goes, so much of the country remained at low COVID immunity levels. Unfortunately, most of New York State, especially parts of Northeast New York State, are at the medium to high levels now. It's believed this is attributed to the spread of variants of the disease, as well as reduced testing in some of the areas that are not noticing high levels, colder temperatures in the spring, and a few other things. I encourage everyone to continue to take appropriate precautions when you're in large groups, etc. Regarding county DMV services, you may have noticed that there's been less days that they're open here in their satellite office. Essex County, like other businesses and institutions around, are experiencing severe staffing challenges in its DMV office. That includes the satellite office in Ticonderoga as well as Elizabethtown. Right now, the satellite office in Ticonderoga is open on Wednesdays only, but go to the DMV's website for actual and current information on when the satellite office is open, because there are some Wednesdays here that they will not be open. So the last announcement I have is for the rabies clinic. That's going to be on June 8th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Town Highway Garage, and pre-registration is appreciated according to them. That's all I have for announcements. I have no public hearings tonight. We have no presentations tonight. We'll go into committee reports. Start with airport. Airport committee met on May 3rd, and the minutes are attached. You can read those. I won't go through those specifically. In total, we did just order some more fuel for the airport, and we have an annual filter and inspection check being arranged. We do have some trouble with the strobe lights, and we'll have a resolution on that coming up. The town has made a decision recently to offer to accept the old tower beacon and tower paper company to be placed on town property, and everything else you can pretty much read in the minutes that are attached to the agenda. So the first resolution I have tonight in regards to the airport is a resolution authorizing the purchase of 2 printed circuit boards for the airport runway end identifier lights. These are the strobe lights in an amount of $1,322.27. These are required to enable the lighting system to properly function. I need a motion on that.
So moved.
So, motion, and I have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried. Buildings and grounds. Parks and Rec.
Okay, I'll make that quick.
All right.
You always do.
The Armory Troopers will be here within 2 weeks. I'll put them on. We got an estimate, or we're getting an estimate on the new structure over the back of the Armory. Joyce, what are you talking about? That, to duplicate the one down below.
Handicap
And we're
accessibility.
getting some prices and some bids on the Heritage furnace.
Okay.
That's all I've got in regards to buildings.
Okay.
We ran around.
Excellent. First of all, I want to say thank you to you, Dave, for coming down today and helping out with our playground project. He came down with heavy equipment, and he took care of 3 pieces that we had to pull out of the ground to reshape our playground. He moved them around and got them back in the ground thanks to it, with the help of our groundskeeping crew too. So I say a special thank you.
I stayed away.
Unfortunately for Dave, I was there.
Sorry.
So it's easy. Anyways, Okay, let's go on with the rest of it. We had a lot of public participation at our Parks and Rec meeting last week. And one of them was George Brown was present. George is responsible for the development of our disc golf course. And he was giving us an update because we really wanted to know how things were going. And I do notice that there's a lot of use of disc golf course going on. Unfortunately, a lot of the people do not live here, which we have more locals playing. And we've had some vandalism there, but that's being taken care of. And he's hoping eventually he can add a second tee, which is would make it a harder hole to play. And the good news is that Isaac Kendall and another volunteer who lives on Black Point Road, whose name is escaping me at this point, help with the maintenance, so our grounds crew does not have to spend time going around and weed-whacking around that course. And George did note that there's increased traffic on the course's Facebook page. People are checking us out and asking for directions. And there's also other courses around here. There's one now in Silver Bay, and there's one already in the Crown Point State Park. And if you want a disc, they're available for sale at the Candy Corner. And going on from that, Kelly Carey was present. Kelly works for the Chamber, and she is also the farmers market representative. And she came and asked the committee to change the location for the farmers market, and what she's looking at is the area behind the fairly level spot behind the Glens Falls National Bank on Calm Street. In the past, the only use of this property that I can really see is it's been used for T-ball. The majority of people polled regarding the farmers market prefer a downtown location. And the committee approved the concept of this new location, and we hope that there will be more foot traffic in our downtown because of the farmers market. And the market will be open from June through September. And Dave is going to work with Kelly to find out if there's electricity available. Okay, good news. Megan Van Meer, which maybe a lot of you don't know, but you will know her because this girl is really volunteering all over town. And she came and spoke to us. She is the organizer this year for the Fall Fest. There was one last year. And for the first time, it was held in Bicentennial Park. And it was a lovely location, and it seemed like there was potential to grow the festival, and that's what she's hoping to do, to make it a bigger thing. And plans include partnerships with local restaurants, having food service in the park during the Fall Fest, and a drawing for prizes, and it would include children's and nighttime activities. And she already has a grant to get this started. So, thank you, Megan. 4th of July, Debbie Barber was there, and it will be a 4-day celebration as it has been in the past. However, she's having a real problem finding vendors. And she was one of the things she's hoping to change it up a little bit is to have a crafters area. But as you recall, there's an issue with the insurance because the town does require insurance for people using town facilities. So we're in the process of trying to help her out with that. The Marine Monument, because of the presentation of Clayton Metzer at the last board meeting, and his continued request for his placement at Bicentennial Park, the committee did feel that an additional special meeting might be necessary. All the committee members and myself are still supporting his placement in Veterans Park. The park was created for that purpose. Placing it in Bicentennial Park would open the door to future requests for placement of additional appreciation monuments on its ground, and would also diminish the park's scenic spaces. A stated mission of Parks and Rec Committee is the stated mission of the Parks and Rec Committee is to preserve open space in Bicentennial Park. Cemeteries, there's always some issues with cemeteries, especially the Mount Hope Cemetery, because it is an active cemetery. And Bill Dahlbeck is a sexton. He reported that he has at least 50 cornerstones that still need to be installed. And at this point, it was suggested that an outside contractor might be engaged to help him with this project because our housekeeping crew can't get to it. Another request that happened during this meeting was from our supervisor here, and I think it was a very good suggestion. We're having problems with vehicle traffic going into Bicentennial Park that go down to the fishing pier. But the issue is, there's a sign there that says official and handicap vehicles only. And some of the vehicles are not going very slowly, and that entrance is also shared with pedestrians, so it's a problem that we need to resolve. Mark's suggestion was to put a stop sign there, and I think that's a great idea. We could move the entrance sign down the hill a little bit, put the stop sign, and I also suggested that we might want to take the authorized and handicap vehicle sign and put it below the stop sign, and maybe people would finally get the message that it's not open for all cars going down there.
So can we do that next week? Can we just walk down there, maybe grab Sal, or
Yeah,
just
yep, our meeting is next Tuesday.
pull
so
up the sign and
Yeah.
move it around where we
Yep.
so we get
Great.
it done?
one more thing we'll get done. And our next committee meeting is Tuesday, May 17th, and hopefully our playground will start going in the ground, not this weekend, but next weekend. We hope.
The town closed on 6 Kearney. I have the keys. I really
Thank
wish
you.
someone would take the keys from me.
Who would you like to have it?
Well, Steve asked me the other day, Steve Boyce asked me the other day, do you have the keys? And I said, yes. But he hasn't showed up yet, so. Maybe you can tell him to.
I'll run into him and tell him that he needs to check the work on keys.
The other thing is,
Thank you, Matt, for your work on that project.
the other thing I mentioned to you already, County Department of Health has asked if we'll put a sunscreen dispenser at the beach. Is everyone okay with that? You know, they provide the dispenser and the sunscreen.
I'm a living example of sun damage. We need to maybe make it easier for kids to use it.
Yeah, we can just call the lifeguards to keep an eye on it, keep it filled or whatever.
Good idea.
I'll let them know. Okay, is that it?
That's it. Oh, I did attend the NYMER webinar on playground maintenance, so I am now officially certified. Watch out.
That's new stuff.
Yes.
Okay, economic development, we met on April 20th, meeting again next week. Just the minutes are enclosed with the agenda, just a couple of points. We were thinking about doing a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, but we just did one with DRI, which I thought was pretty good. I've gone through it. I think we can apply this to our efforts on economic development. We're still looking at some low-hanging fruit type of issues like murals and getting some of the vacant store windows to look presentable. When we start getting some summer traffic, until we actually have renters or leasers that go into those spaces. We're talking about coordinating websites between the town, TAC, TMSP, Pride, so that when someone from the outside is coming into the Ticonderoga website, they're going to see the same information, or it'll get linked to a host location so that everyone is seeing the same information. It's not different. We'll talk more about that at our meeting next week. Other than that, there's more information in the minutes that are attached. I have had some discussions with the developer on a specific project that may or may not come into fruition for timing, but we have just initial stages right now, and we'll be talking more. As I said, the rest is in the minutes. And that's all I have for right now. Development. Highway transfer station.
Okay, we met on the 26th. There was no public discussion, no public comment. Sal's monthly report was he had one snow event. He's had 4 stop signs. We will get in as soon as possible. We did one driveway culvert on Baldwin Road for the county. Started new landfill attendance, seems to be doing good. And gotten complaints about I have gotten complaints about him already. Started our sweeping and ditching. 3 guys have completed the blacktop school. It was really informative. We have possession of our new rover, and we installed Joyce's signs. Having a hard time getting white road paint for the parking spaces and the road lines. They prepped the Burley for pavement when the barriers are removed, sidewalks on the finance meeting agenda to go to bid. We will meet to go over the priority list again for repairs. Working on getting easements to get start repairs on St. Clair Grove Street. Mark was there and wanted to thank the highway department for moving the sidewalk by the Burley. John Deming is working with a resident to talk about land she is donating to the town and the county on road access to the roadway. The McCoy Road has had a lot of trash dumped. We were asked if we could put game cameras up and try to stop this action. Mark would like to try to put signs and cameras and using law enforcement to try to deter this issue instead of closing the road down. What it would take to get the cameras up, not much. We already discussed it, and I think they might be up now. So, and that's all we had. That was it. Oh, we did have sidewalk complaints on the portage. Mark checked them out and forwarded it to AES. That's all I got.
So the stop signs are up now at
Yep.
the intersection of which, Concom and Skylar,
Yeah.
those are up. Sidewalk at Burley's been unveiled. It was perfect. And,
Blacktop.
yeah, and the sidewalk bid is advertised, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. And
We had no problems getting some.
that was $100,000 from the reimbursable Betty Little money, and then I threw in $100,000 of ARPA money. $100,000 total money to what we get out of that.
All three contractors. Tanya thought we should share.
Two have taken up.
Yeah.
And Highway's been given authority to spend their $20,000 capital reserve to do sidewalk repair, and they'll start that on Micon Street. He said within the next 2 or 3 weeks, and that was a week ago, so as long as they get the time, we'll just start that activity. Okay, thank you. Municipal facility?
We did have a meeting this past month. The next meeting, following our standard meeting schedule, would fall on the 30th, which is Memorial Day. So we're talking with the committee members now to see if we're going to move that meeting up a week or down a week. And as soon as we have a time confirmed, we will get it out so we can have proper notification. But it won't be on Memorial Day, that I can tell you. It'll be before or after, but that's all we have at this time.
Thanks. Public safety?
Okay, we met on June 26th. Adam's weren't working nights, so I read the monthly report, which I'll read in a minute. We also discussed about closing the McCoy Road, and Matt said that he would need more facts to look into before we could discuss it. But we just talked about the cameras, like I just said, the cameras and the signs. So, Rihanna went over the building codes thing. We've done all. The following summary of activities for the police department for 3/28/22. Approximate calls to service 245, incident reports 18, arrests 10, uniform traffic tickets 68, DWIs none, accidents investigated 5. The speed trailer is currently located on Shore Airport Road. On March 30th, 2022, officers responded to the Going Road and overdose. Officers were able to administer Narcan and revive the subject. St. Mary's has requested the police department to provide extra patrols around the playground due to ongoing issues. The police department would like to remind the community that the St. Mary's playground closes at 7. There's been illegal dumping issues on the McCoy Road again, and persons with any information is encouraged to contact the police department. And I think we should make a note that we should thank Keith O'Connor, because he goes over there and cleans it up on his own. And then he's had to go up to the highway and get some additional help to pick up some washing machines and heavy stuff that he couldn't handle. And he's done this for 2-3 years. So that's what started the whole thing. Excuse me, the building codes, they issued 9 building permits, 3 safety inspections, 2 garage permits, 3 alteration permits, 2 demolitions, 1 sign, 1 solar, and 1 accessory structure, and 3 safety inspections. Ordered to remedy 1, and it was remedied. And then we have a big complaint about loose chickens running on neighboring properties. That's it. I said
Chicken fricassee.
it's like maybe our RFD.
Chickens and cows. Chicken fricassee.
Anything else? No other animals?
No.
Along this line of public safety, we're currently researching how to provide police enforcement outside the town, county jurisdiction of Black Point Beach. Matt's running that down, and this is hopefully to allowing our town law enforcement to exercise some authority if they need to at the beach.
Will that include Black Point Road too? Because they have similar issues.
We were looking at the beach only at this point. I think the sheriff gets a little antsy when we start talking about the Washington
Taking away
County
the-
Sheriff facilities, when we talk about other authority.
Okay.
The other thing is, I believe I mentioned this to you, Joyce, I've got some communication back from the Plattsburgh area about the needle kiosks, and I'm gonna send that whole discussion back to public safety for resolution and action on what you wanna do with it.
You know, back a few years ago when they had them, they gave me, Mike Vaughn gave me the key and asked me to check them, and it was never, I think maybe 2 or 3 drug, the rest of it was all diabetic, people, medical, to put them in.
We've been asked to put them at the assigned locations. I didn't know there was assigned locations, but I put that in your package, there was assigned locations, so I'll let you guys figure out how you want to handle this, and I'll communicate that. Okay. Public Works, once again, minutes are attached. Lead service line replacement program has begun. Colt Russell has passed all his classes to become certified now. We do have a number of resolutions in this area tonight to discuss. Okay, first one is a resolution to authorize a change in William Charbonneau residence, 39 Treadway, to 1 EDU for both water and sewer on 1 account, due to combining his home and vacant lots in 1 deed.
I'll move it.
All right, we have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Carried. Resolution, I can't say that word, to change Colt Russell's job title to water treatment plant operator assistant, as he's passed all his classes to become certified. I will move that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed? So carried. Resolution to purchase a new pump and miscellaneous parts needed for the Delano pump station in the amount not to exceed $12,000.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. We have 3 agreements that we have to sign with the AES. First one here is a resolution authorizing the supervisor to approve an AES Northeast agreement to provide professional engineering design services for the HVAC improvements to the Black Point Road Pump Station Control Building, electrical work for an owner-purchased pump control panel, existing wet well sewer gas mitigation, total estimate for design services, hourly not to exceed $7,000, no cents, plus reimbursable expenses, mileage of $200, estimated printing of $300.
I'll move it.
Or which one of you gets it?
I got Dave and then Tom.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Next one, a resolution authorizing the supervisor to enter into an agreement with AES Northeast to evaluate the town's wastewater treatment process for phosphorus treatment to maintain compliance with the town's speedies permit at a cost of $24,990 $30,000 is a grant with a $6,000 match. The work is to include investigations, assessment of existing conditions to identify needed repairs, upgrades, assessment of needs to accommodate continued growth in the development of an engineering planning report, which will find recommendations and options for addressing issues identified. So I will move that.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, so carried. Resolution authorizing the supervisor to execute an agreement with AES Northeast to complete a wet water operating plan in the amount of $7,000.00 plus reimbursable total and expenses of $500. Motion?
I'll move it.
So moved.
I'm sorry, who got that? That Tom?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay.
And then Thompson.
Yeah, Tom and Tom. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
This is carried, none opposed. And that's all I have for Public Works, Human Services, Youth.
I guess that would be me. right?
Youth.
Okay. I don't have official minutes. Sean Ross is working really hard to have some kind of summer program for our kids. Unfortunately, we weren't able to have enough people apply for the job of attendant for the summer program. So he's going to try a modified program, which involves 2 days a week, not full days, half days. One day would be a crafting day, the other one would be some kind of activity. He's also talking about a weekend basketball camp and a volleyball tournament and Olympics, like on the final week of the summer program. The other issue, I'm not going to get into that one. Help me tell you what else I forget. We're hoping, we interviewed 6 people, and we're hoping that most of the 6 would also help staff our after-school program in the fall. So our fingers are crossed that we'll be able to offer that program too, because there's a lot of people in town who depend on the after-school program.
The ribbon cutting with Silver
Oh,
Bay
yes, I
Outfit.
didn't think about that. Silver Bay had a ribbon cutting last week. Major speaker was Mr. Bright. Actually, it's very nice. They're very thankful to be back. They really want to do a program. And my observation of the whole thing is it looks like it's going to be a pretty good program this time. They've got about 4 additional people helping Jackie Palandrani with the program. They're young and have a lot of enthusiasm, so it looks good. And so far, their attendance has been very good. And Sean has coordinated it so that sometimes town people can also go to the gym for other activities too. So the Army's getting a lot of use is what it boils down to.
Okay. Anything from seniors, Tom?
Yeah, actually, they haven't had a meeting yet, but they are going to start in-person meetings again. The first one will be Wednesday, May 25th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon to be held at the Armory in the Senior Center. And hopefully going forward, it'll be the last Wednesday of the month at 1 o'clock in the afternoon at the Senior Center, so we can add that to our monthly calendar. And other than that, that's all I have. So I would expect that next month after a meeting, we will know kind of the direction that the seniors are going to go in and what their programs are for this upcoming year. So.
One thing I got on the senior bus, I think we should try to get another sub-bus driver. Because Sue goes south and Carol goes south, and we ran into a couple problems. We think we should have another substitute driver.
Gotta get the bus back first.
Yeah, but because when it isn't running, they hear about it. They don't not get what.
Well,
When,
a lot of people.
so, I mean, if we get another sub to make applications to,
Do we have any more applications on file, or
I
we
don't know. I was
advertise for
just
it?
gonna ask you
we
that.
advertise for it? Or,
Well, I don't know if you have any already on file, or if you just want to advertise for it.
Is it a continuing now?
That one is not continuing, I don't believe, so we can just advertise for it, and then look and see what we have on file too. You want to pass a resolution to do that then?
yeah, okay.
Advertise for some part-time substitute senior bus drivers.
I'll move it.
I'll second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Okay, health insurance, the only thing I have to report is that Burnham Benefits will have another quarterly update for collective bargaining unit staff. That's currently scheduled for June 7th at 1:30 p.m. So this is something they're trying to do quarterly now for the units. Just kind of giving an update on coverage and other things going on. Let's see, contract negotiations, we will begin negotiations on the 3 union contracts in the fall. We've had some preliminary discussions with council in preparation for getting ready for that, but other than that, it's been quiet. Let's see. Cable. I have one.
Yeah.
Just one. Can't wait to see this. There it is. All right, as far as cable goes, there's one upcoming change. Spectrum Northeast recently informed Shop HQ Health located on Spectrum channels 195 and 475 will be replaced with QVC3 on Spectrum channels 196 and 195 and 475 on the channel lineup serving your community. This out of control change. That's an odd statement. This out of control change will occur on and around June 1st, 2022.
And you're gonna get sick all the dishes.
Goes right out there with the chickens. That's all I have. Okay.
You know, just out of your control. I don't know.
I didn't expect that. A few other resolutions from a financial standpoint. But first, we have Jack Doyle on the line here. Jack, I have a resolution here, which I will read. Resolution to issue a letter of support for the Fort Ty Ferries grant application to the U.S. Maritime Administration. I will move that. Second. Is there any discussion? Jack, is there anything you'd like to say about that?
First of all, thanks for letting me join you. I've got some experience in public service, and I appreciate everything you folks are doing. I was a mayor pro tem of my community, and thank you.
Okay.
As far as studying, I've been working hard, getting very ready, and probably a couple away. I hope to have the best in the water this weekend, and I'm looking hopefully at the week of May 23rd to restart service. Throughout the inspection, and past my Coast Guard inspection, I had the insurance survey people there. They looked at my cup, and it's built in 1979. It's a 25-foot pub, which is powered by a two-stroke diesel engine. And the insurance surveyor said, it's only going to become more challenging for you to get parts. The Marine Highway Program is issuing grants for this type of thing. That through the offices of the Maritime Administration, I touched base with them. They said, in support of your application, you need letters of support or approval, no financial obligations involved whatsoever, but from a public entity, capital P, capital P. Last night I was at the select board meeting in the town store. I can report to you that they have told me that they will be issuing a letter of support and approval as well. And I'm in hopes that we can make it unanimous and get support from both sides of the debate. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
So carried and opposed. Jack, I got the letter written, so we will send it out tomorrow.
Okay, I will be sending it to Tom Morgan.
Yeah, I'm sending it to the address that you sent. Yeah. Okay. And I can email you a copy or whatever you like. So.
Yeah, would you please CC me on that one?
Yeah. Okay, 2 financial resolutions.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Resolution authorizing the creation of some new accounts for ARPA funds. This is to track our ARPA funds, as well as a new account for the Saratoga County Sheriff. I need a motion.
I'll move it.
Okay, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Resolution authorizing the following budget transfers. These are to fund under budgeted accounts and general account. Contingency, assessor legal services, police constable vehicles, police constable propane, and programs for aging personnel drug screening, in a total of $1,707.79.
I'll move it.
You got one variable.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I like the enthusiasm. The other is a contingency into highway for machinery and highway lubricants. And this is again to fund under budgeted highway accounts and contingency. And now I need a motion.
I'll move it.
It's when you mind, you can't get it. All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. A resolution authorizing the following budget adjustments, funding accounts by the general fund balance to cover unbudgeted accounts, joint planning board, town attorney, refuse and garbage vacation buyback, and airport contractual engineer.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Resolution authorizing the following interfund transfers. These are transfer funds from general to the Eagle Lake Water Project. $160.65. Project fund. And I need a motion.
I'll make it.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? So carried. And the last one here is a little lengthy. Resolution authorizing the following interfund loans. First group here is transfer funds from the general to the airport apron project until we get funding received. Second is to transfer funds from highway to the Veterans Road culvert project until funding is received. Transfer funds from central water to lead service line replacement project until funding is received. And the last one is to transfer funds from the central water to the water meter project until funding is received. See the amounts there.
I'll move that.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Joyce, second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so carried. Okay. I have a resolution here to set a public hearing for June 9th, 2022 at 6 p.m. regarding the franchise agreement between the town of Ticonderoga and Spectrum Northeast LLC.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Resolution to set a public hearing for May 26, 2022 at 6 p.m. regarding the Chilson Eagle Lake Water Project.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. A resolution to accept correct minutes of the regular town board meeting of April 14th, 2022, finance meeting of April 28th, 2022, and a special town board meeting of April 29th, 2022.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Did you say aye? Resolution to pay the abstract.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. And a resolution to accept supervisor's report is submitted.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. All right. We'll move into public comment period. Who's first? Jeff, you want to go first?
Sure. Last July, I brought an idea to the Buildings and Grounds Committee in regards to designating Tin Alley as a car top boat launch. I'd like to address that at the town board meeting. During that time, shortly after the committee meeting, I provided a great deal of information to the committee and to the town clerk. Excuse me. I'm sorry. After the meeting in July last year that I went to for the Building and Grounds Committee, I was asked by a board member to fill out paperwork for the APA. I filled the paperwork out. I was supposed to turn it in to the town supervisor, which I did. I had not heard anything about it. I came back within the less than a month ago, asked what was the outcome of dealing with the APA, and I was told it was never submitted. I asked if as again, that Tin Pan Alley be made into a car top boat launch, and I was advised that the town board had decided to do nothing with it. So my concern is back when I had come, the last couple of weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, whatever, the grass was no different than any other lawn around, whatever. Now the grass down there is growing up, it's probably a foot high, it hasn't been mowed. Well, it hasn't been mowed except for where both landowners are encroaching on the town property. That's all been mowed, okay? They've mowed all of that, but nothing beyond to the center of where that encroaching on town property has been mowed. I'd like to know whether we can get that mowed, and if the town can't do it, as Joyce just said, she had volunteers helping with the upkeep of the disc golf area. If you can't do it yourself, can you let someone else do it? Okay?
It's not just my decision.
I didn't ask you, I'm asking you as a board, okay? So the point being is many people, myself included, and many other people, you Joyce for instance, Dave, many people here volunteered to do things for the town. We're volunteering to do that, okay? As I told you before, 10 months ago, the Lake George Park Commission has no concern about it being a car top boat launch, as long as it is a car top boat launch and not a boat launch for motorized vehicles or vessels. So I'd like to know whether something can be done with that. I'd like to see if there's an answer today different than what the answer I got.
Different than what the answer you got.
The answer I got from you was that you decided to do nothing.
No,
The
the
place
answer
is-
is- the answer
Let me
is-
finish what I'm saying first of all. You said, we decided we're not doing anything with it. It's there, use it.
Can I talk now?
Certainly, but that's what you told me.
What I told you is the town has, or decided to take no action because the public has access to the property.
And it's almost.
It's a little bit
yes,
that saying doing nothing, but, okay.
Well, the point being is it's a town piece of property,
Yes, it is.
okay? You're allowing two landowners adjoining encroach on it, first of all. Secondly, you're allowing them to maintain part of the town property. You're not gonna maintain the rest of the town property, which is kind of ludicrous, in my opinion. And I think 70 other people that commented on it until the post was taken down a day later, okay? Both people in town. What's that?
I have no control for that.
Well, you didn't, but regardless, you had 70 people that were interested in that, both people that live here and both people that are from here, okay? And that's in one day. I can't understand the difficulty in going down and mowing it. Going down and cleaning it up. All you're gonna do with doing nothing, okay? As you said, it's open. So by the end of summer, somebody can go down and wade through grass this high to launch their kayak. Is that a benefit to the public? Is that helping out anybody, that wants to go down there? I spoke to a woman today that was kayaking with her wife there last summer, and the two of them mentioned that it would be an ideal place to have access for a kayak. And I just threw that out, just happened to be, I was speaking to her before I left work today. Regardless, what is the difficulty of maintaining that property? If you can't do it yourself, I know because they're so busy, What is the difficulty of having somebody go down and volunteer to do that, the same as they do the disc golf? The same as I've done on several different occasions for different events for the town. So what is the difficulty?
I don't see any.
I mean, I just don't understand why the impediment of not maintaining the area. It's already maintained part of it. The neighbors are encroaching on the town property. There's trees planted, freshly planted trees on the town property. There's the buildings that are on the town property, you can't do anything about it, I understand. And there's a way, I even messaged you a feasible way to deal with that, that probably should have been brought to Matt. Whether it was or not, I don't know, because you never answered me. Okay, so, but that point, that could have been, I'm assuming, dealt with fairly easily. But the whole thing has just been put under the rug. It's there, use it, and that's all we get. The point is why is the difficulty? There's no reason for the difficulty with it. You have people maintaining a portion of it. Why do they have a fence on town property? You're gonna allow somebody to come out here in the park and put a fence down the center of it?
Is this fence new?
Is it new?
Yeah,
I don't know what it is. It's still on town property. You can let somebody go down there and do that.
I just don't remember a fence.
See, all you're asking is if somebody can, if we can't, if somebody can go in there and mow that little section.
Well,
there anything about
that's primarily it. The,
If not,
The,
I don't see anything wrong.
the other part of it though is there's a fencing. It appears to be fencing to keep the geese off somebody's property. Okay, it's not a great big long fence, whatever. Why is that on town property? If somebody wants to put it on to keep geese off their property, then put it over on their property. Just, for instance, 15 feet on town property.
I haven't been up there recently, Jeff, so I don't know.
Well, I explained all this to you last July.
Well, that was a long
Okay.
time ago.
I know, and as you said, nothing gets done quickly.
I do want to say this, there is an issue with cattails, and there's an issue with migratory birds, and how do you propose to deal with that?
They don't have to be touched. The only place the cattails have been touched is where one of the town landowners encroached on the town property. If you notice, right up to where the landowner encroached on the town property, there's not a single cattail. It starts exactly there. So there's probably 12 or 15 foot of town property. There is no cattails because someone removed them. Okay? The point where there is cattails has no impact on what we're trying to get accomplished. Okay? It just needs to be taken care of. And the problem is we don't want to go down there and have somebody complain they're on my property. Well, guess what? Let them put their fence on their own property. Let them put their posted signs on their own property. They have posted signs both sides of the road that are on town property. Put it on their property line. Don't have a problem with it. Nobody should have a problem with it. I spoke to the police department when the officers came up there. I found something, syringe down there when I went down to look at it and go fishing the other day. I called one of the officers up there and told him, I said, you know, that explained to him the posted signs were on the town property. He goes, we know. He goes, they've called us many times, and we've had to tell them many times that it's town property. Move the posted sign back. So, would it benefit maybe having Matt write a letter and say, please move your posted signs to your own property? Take down the fencing that's on town property, because you're maintaining up to that point. Apparently the town can maintain up to that point. Okay? I don't have a problem with that, or none of us have a problem with having people, they own lakefront there, and they're good taxpayers there, okay? But so isn't everybody else good taxpayers, okay? The bottom line is I'd like to see it open, I'd like to see a decision tonight.
it is open.
See.
What you had originally discussed with the town was removing some vegetation, which probably would have involved DEC or APA. And as well as, I believe you had talked about parking areas. That is not something that the town board decided they were going to get into.
And the point is, right now, is the place, you can't park on the roadway, okay? You can't block, even though it's a small roadway. You can't park on the roadway. Right now, where people can legally park is on these people's, what they call their lawn, okay? So you're gonna have more difficulties by dealing with not taking care of the thing. You're gonna have people being PO'd, the neighbors, because it's gonna be illegal for them to park that far away from somebody's house. Do you want to get those calls? Or maybe it would be easier to take and do a little bit of effort so people have access to the place.
There's also some question as to what those original boundary lines are from the maps. None of your maps are certified by the county, so don't call them out.
Certainly they're certified.
Well, they're not.
None of my maps, you don't even know what maps I have.
I know I spoke with the code officer and he saw your maps and he told me that they weren't certified by
The building officer told me that he wasn't going against you because he was afraid of getting fired.
I don't.
I don't care if I did.
I didn't say it like that.
This is license and surveyor, and this is Bill DeCenzo's property. And this is right here, this is county clerk, office of Essex County Clerk, September 11th, 97, this map is, okay? He's telling me one thing, you're thinking of one single thing, okay? I got a lot of maps that show the same kind of
You're not
stuff.
showing them tonight.
Of course I'm not. Of course I'm not. Because the bottom line is you still don't want to do anything. The point being is I'd like to have an explanation to the public
I just told you.
that chose to do nothing.
I told you your words. Is there any change in the board's decision on this issue? Based upon what you've heard?
Mr. Green. I do want to say this, and you're going to say it's too far away, but we do have public access to the lake at our public beach. We created a kayak and a canoe lane, so it's not like there's no access to the lake. I know it's farther down the road, but there is access available.
It's miles away in
I know
another
it is.
county. Another county.
Well,
The point being is we have town property. We have town property that's not being allowed to be properly used. Would the town of Bolton, for instance, say, man, we're just gonna ignore Lake George property? It's the only piece of property the town owns
I agree.
that the public has access to in Ticonderoga. Why are we not doing something with it? Is the town board going to do anything about posted
Yeah,
signs?
Jeff, I'm one person on the board and you're addressing.
I'm talking to everybody.
Okay.
You just addressed me, and that's why I was looking at you.
Jeff,
Okay.
we heard you, and I know.
And I'll be done in just a second.
No, you're done now.
Okay.
There was no decision by the board to change its mind on this. If anyone has a.
First Amendment, you got anything here?
If any, this is a limited public forum.
It's the United States with the First
It's a
Amendment.
limited public forum. We have the right to limit conversation and the length of it. So is that not a true statement? Thank you.
So I'm done? I can't
Well, I
speak,
mean,
I can't speak anymore?
You presented your case, other
Well,
than repeating yourself, what more are you gonna say?
Can I offer say something, please? Yeah, here, I haven't had a chance. I'm on the same topic. I was in here with Jeff in June this year, asked the board to consider building a public fishing pier. It's town property, it used to be the village boat launch off the Tin Alley, 66 feet wide, been there for 100 years or more.
200 or something.
200 some years. And again, I understand it's kind of off the chart, but I don't know why you would object to doing something that would improve the quality of life for people in this town. All we seem to get is ratcheted down on in every way, shape, or form. And then something that might make somebody smile, you're reluctant to do.
The town of Ticonderoga has a lot of priorities right now.
I
This is not one of them.
Running a weed whacker and mowing some grass ought to be doable. You know? I mean,
Putting in
and goodwill goes a long
Putting in
way.
a boat dock and parking space is a little bit more than
I understand that. That's all, maybe not considered at this point. But I think, like I said, if you could put a smile on somebody's face and work with your constituency, you know, present a recreational opportunity to people, it would go well to improve the climate.
I understand there's a lot more involved in this than
Okay.
just putting a smile on somebody's face.
So the town's not gonna address the posted signs on town property, or the sign, or the fence at all? On town property?
We can look into it.
Well, it was brought up last July, how much do you need to look into it? Your own surveyor did a survey and gave her a copy of it that sat in her office. Tom didn't even know about the survey. I had to show it to him. And the fact is why did it take since last fall? I know he just got on just recently, but why?
Sorry, Jeff, we feel your pain, but
I thought Giordano was going.
Who's next?
Don,
Don?
I'll be short. First, I just want to thank Dave for taking care of the handicap parking situation out in front of Lake George Avenue. I really appreciate that. Just wanted to ask if they're going to put a new sign up, or they move it, or just remove it? Okay, great. Great, super, thank you for taking care of that. And then, as long as we have a fairly good constituency here, do we want to
Can I have one conversation here, please?
Certainly.
did we want to tell the...
It's not yours, it's this one.
Do we want to tell the public about participation in the DRI and what's coming up with that?
If you'd like to.
Sure. For anyone who doesn't know what a DRI is, the state has a process where within the 8 regions of the state, they have a special grant where they can grant $10 million to an individual town to do downtown revitalization. And there are a lot of other towns that have already received it. Saranac, Tupper Lake, Watertown, Plattsburgh, Glens Falls got it. And we think that Ticonderoga is ready to do a DRI grant. So we have a committee that's working with a consulting firm to put in an application when that grant gets announced next time. We're not quite sure when that is. But it really requires everybody in town participating in the public aspects of helping us decide what we want to include in that grant. It'll be just the downtown section, sort of around Montcalm Street, maybe a block to either side. But when the notices come out, it'll be on the town website, lots of announcements in the paper and things like that. And we really want to encourage everybody of all ages, from all bordering towns, everybody who uses Thai downtown as their downtown, to come and help with the vision of what downtown Thai could be to support all of us as residents as well as the people who visit here. So when that comes out, we would love to have you all participate in that process. And your families and your friends and everybody we can get. The more people we have participating, the better our application will be.
Thank you. Who's next? Bill?
yes, I believe the board was given a handout sheet that we, the people, had brought to,
Yes, we got it.
and hopefully you have a chance to read that. We respectfully disagree with some of the information that the board has obviously been given by the Department of Health and AES in regards to the issues that go along with hard water. Has anyone taken an opportunity to look online or try and self-educate yourselves as to what hard water is, what it does, what it causes materially, what it can cause physically, health-wise? Has anybody looked into that? Dave?
I
lived
drank
with
hot
hard
water for
16
20 years in California.
If I may, my wife and I
had the privilege tonight to go to the Hot Biscuit Diner. It's one of our favorite places to eat. And when we got there, we got served. The owner came out and she was on this very high stool. A very high stool, Tom. She has to do this. It's a lot of times a day. She's risking her life on this ladder, being tired from running this place on her own. And she also showed me the amount of damage that it's doing to this 2-year-old ice machine. Okay? It's got a softener in this machine, and it's 2 years old, and it's not able to conduct what it's supposed to do to remove the hardness out of this water. Joyce, I heard you a little while ago. Thank Dave Woods for going down there and fixing that. I've been looking at that every time I go down there with my wife. I'm appreciative of that as well. And I'm appreciative of your heart, because our children are important to us. Our future water is so important to us. We need to take a close look at this and look at the date on our resolution and try to work as a group, all of us, not just us trying to fight people. We know that we're up against the state and the town with this. We want you guys to help us with this. This water is still there. It's still flowing. It's flowing for free, as we've heard many times. I know you guys care. I hear you guys talking about different things. A lot of people say it's too late. Joyce, is it too late to keep our water? To have our rights? The people? I've got signatures. I got probably 500 right now. We're gonna continue to get signatures so that we can come back and show you guys how much we care about our water.
Nobody is saying that we don't care about the water.
We want to keep this water.
I know you do.
And and the downtown is figuring it out too. They want to keep the water too. They want it back. They want the water back. I think we should cut our loss. You know, we've got those new pumps out there. We've got the new well waters out there. Why don't we just use that system as a backup? Use that new system to somehow bring that better water back into the village. There's got to be a way. And if it means we need another engineer to take a closer look, you guys can supply that. We pay our taxes. We're willing to cut our losses. The people want the better water.
We've been through this, Dan. There really is more to say about this. We've been through it.
There's a lot more to say.
You just don't want to
There's
hear
a
it.
lot more to say.
You've been presented
We're
plans.
willing to hear things, but they have to be solutions that work. And so far,
No,
they haven't worked.
excuse me. Why are you saying that they don't work?
We had that one meeting, we discussed this thoroughly.
And you accepted nothing
We are
from
not-
us,
yeah.
only what AES
And
had to
we
say
are
about
not
the
gonna-
feasibility of using ultraviolet. AES, respectfully, is wrong. Their cost is wrong, their scope of work is wrong, they're wrong. They don't make mistakes, right? Well then why the hell were they on Grace Avenue 2 weeks ago going to dig up lead supply lines that they claimed were there? They sent equipment, men, everything there. There isn't a single lead supply line on that end of Grace Avenue. They don't know half of what they're talking about.
That's your opinion.
Yes, it is. You have yours, I have mine.
That's correct.
Okay? I would wish that at least some of the board would look into this and find out that the information you're being given is not in the best interest of the Ticonderoga taxpayer and citizen and water user. Not at all. You have been misled by AES. You have been misled by Department of Health. You need to do some homework. You need to do your job. Excuse me, I'm still speaking, sir. You need to do your job and do your homework and find out how you have been misled. It's all there in black and white. Sit down in front of a computer, Google it up, and read it. If a dummy like me can understand it, I would certainly hope that you folks can.
There's a tremendous amount of information on hard water, on the exact hardness of what we have here, which is critical to our esophagus, our kidneys, our livers. Hair follicles will be damaged with hard water. You're losing your hair. I don't think the women in Ticonderoga are going to want to hear that one.
Man, either.
Yeah, well, that was too late for me, Joyce. We need to keep this water, and we want you guys to take a good look at what that resolution says. And we want to put this up on a referendum vote in the fall,
If we have to.
if we have to.
Hopefully, you folks will do your homework. You'll do your due diligence, and you will see the information, the vast pot of information that's there, and you will have common sense and change your minds about the direction that you've got the town headed in, because it's wrong. It's just flat wrong. There's no other way to describe it. And to sit there and arbitrarily say, no, AES is absolutely right. No, Department of Health is absolutely right. It's ludicrous. They are not. They make a lot of mistakes.
And they're
And this is one of them.
They're a business.
Does anyone here believe we made arbitrary decisions?
No. No, and it wasn't just AES too. We've had a number of engineering firms looked at it over the years, but.
I understand the passion, but I don't agree with your statement.
But you look at the revitalization. What's going to happen in a few years, there's a 2-year-old machine with a softener on it in the Hot Biscuit Diner. What do you think it's going to do to our water
I
treatment
understand
plant?
the effects of hard water on machinery.
Okay. Do you know what they're going to do to that plant down there?
Referencing what, the wastewater treatment plant?
Yes.
You know what salt does to your car?
You know what salt, the brine wash from the individual water softeners is going to do to that plant? Do you have the slightest idea? Because you're going to wind up rebuilding that in 5 years.
To put a salt remover by the plant, it's 10 million plus.
Every time that water softener, how many of, I don't know how many have been installed. I've had probably 30, 40 people tell me that they've already installed one, and they're half doing the job because the water is critically hard. It's not like it's a little bit hard. This stuff should not be used as a municipal source. There's a good deal of Mr. Fuller's wrinkle in his face. But if you go online, there are thousands of articles that will tell you anything over 10 grains of hardness should not be used for a municipal source. And that 10 grains of hardness, you put that through a sodium filter in your house, okay? Well, in 3 months, 4 months, you're gonna have to recharge that filter. That means you're gonna dump 30, 40, 50 gallons of brine into the sewer plant. Every one of them.
How are we
It's gonna
gonna
eat that thing from
explain
the
that?
inside out.
How are we gonna explain that to the people down the road that now we're paying high taxes on a new water system, and now we gotta replace our plant, and you've got thousands of dollars in each home replacing appliances? How is that okay with anybody?
I mean, as opposed to spending $33 million to replace everything on gooseneck?
I respectfully disagree with that estimate.
And I respectfully disagree with you.
That's fine. I spent 50 years building contracting. I put in the water district from Homelands to Ticonderoga. Okay, I put in the water district on the north end of Grace Avenue. I put in several systems, large systems, multiple unit systems in the Hague area. Okay, I know what I'm talking about. You can sit there and tell me I don't, but I respectfully disagree.
And I disagree.
All
Well, that's fine.
I challenge everybody just to Google this one thing. How many states have banned saltwater-based plants? Saltwater-based, that's what everyone's gonna be dumping. Just look it up.
How many states have banned them?
30 states, I believe, have banned them.
Okay.
You know, if you don't take another look, a serious, hard look, this is more than just passion, okay? This is our town. If you're here to really help our town, You will do this. If you don't do it, you aren't.
Yeah, that's your opinion.
Well, that's the way it is.
No, I'm sorry.
Yes, it is.
Because the new
You take your position and you live with it.
new administration's no different than the old, ain't gonna change.
Anything else?
Well, they've got to protect the old one, you know?
Oh, yeah, sure, they're all covering up for each other.
Oh, unless we have something that we misunderstood.
Yeah. Find out what happened.
Have we misunderstood something? I mean, I know you guys didn't create this. This was
Certainly.
years ago, right?
Find out what happened.
Years
to all
ago,
the water.
Joyce, years ago.
What
But
happened to all
we're
the
now
water
here,
taxes?
we're now here saying, let's really do some. Nobody's really come forward because you know what? Everybody on that hill, I've talked to hundreds. Danny, they can't shut us off. This is our water, it's constitutionally ours. I said, listen, they're probably gonna try to shut us off if we don't stand up as the people and really speak our word. And I said, I know that you guys have gone to meetings and then all of a sudden you're stopped because of the negativity that may have come from the board in the past. They give up because they keep getting this letdown. We're the taxpayers. We're the ones, this is our money.
Where did all the money go over the years that was paid in water taxes? You ask the question, oh, that was before me. Yeah. And then the next guy says, well, that was before me. And then the next, that was before me. How far back are we gonna go before somebody can tell you where'd all the money go? Water and sewer taxes, to pay teachers' retirement and police retirement.
Yeah,
Never heard of such a thing.
Yeah,
The WS and the controllers.
your daughter got that wrong.
Oh, no? Controller's report doesn't have it wrong because I have a 6-year copy
I
of it.
read the wrong line.
Yeah, you read the wrong line, because the controller's office.
All right, is there any
not-
other comments?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
In 2015, there was a map plan report done by AES engineers.
Yeah.
Not the engineers that are there today, but people that have since moved on from AES. That NPR had Lake George as a primary source, Gooseneck, the wells were going to be used as a backup source. That was 2015, October, I think, maybe September. That was adopted by the board by resolution. It was approved by Department of Health and the EPA. There's no mention of it. The only mention is that in 2016, gee, that date rings a bell, it had to be changed. Why?
They don't want to hear it's over here. Anything else?
But there's gotta be some positiveness from you about this. I've been in your office and you said, Danny, if you come up with a good idea, I'm right there with you, I'm gonna push forward. I'm sure the board will too. You know what, it's really quite easy. I mean, I know you gotta have engineers involved. You've already got a covered reservoir. You met one of the state's requirements. The other one is adequate
I
filtration.
believe that was
Filtration,
covered reservoir.
Yeah, it's a very big tank.
Right by the
right next to the old one. It's right next to the old one, it's right there.
It's there. Right now, it's full of well water, but it doesn't have to.
So now we just gotta deal with
It's too big.
UV light, filtrate, whatever we have to do. And as the lines break, as we've done in the past, fix them. The dam, yeah, we're gonna need to fix things there down the road. Let's fix that down the road. Let's just get one thing at a time here, so we're not talking $40 million. It doesn't have to be this difficult.
I believe the decree was to make the system, not part by part.
The decree, in some legal areas, is not considered to be worth the paper it's written on. There are several things in the decree that are extremely arguable. One is the very fact that a town board would have the right to overturn a constitutional amendment.
I believe that's what happened, but.
What's that?
The water use, the water use for Ticonderoga involving Gooseneck was granted through a constitutional amendment.
You gotta be able to look it up under
That's
dams,
factual.
New York State dams. If you look
Mr.
under
Fuller
dams,
is
you'll
well
find
aware
it.
of that.
We discussed all this in our last meeting.
That's common knowledge. That's common knowledge.
And we discussed all this before.
There was many places inside the APA park, maybe 15, 20 of them, just like Gooseneck. And they passed the constitutional amendment, and it was like one of the rights. Just like the last one, it was passed here in 1921. So, the rights of Gooseneck were passed by the legislature of the state of New York and given to the, it says all these parcels here, just like Gooseneck, can be used for drinking water. So there's probably 15, I don't know how many, maybe 20. You could call the DEC and find out. That's a simple phone call. Talk to DEC if you want to find out how many of those parcels were grandfathered into that, just like Gooseneck. And so that's a true fact. I mean,
We aren't here,
the issue.
excuse me, Vic, let me talk. Let me talk.
Are you done?
No, thank you. We're not here to create a war. We could be here to fight one if we need to, but we would rather work with you folks to get this done for the good of the town, because that's what it's about. You had Whistle Pig Distillery wanted to get into Newberry's. Why? Because it's got a 4-inch water main, and they wanted that soft water to set up their brewery plant. You changed the water, told them it wasn't going to be there anymore. Where are they? Mariah? You know, you want to develop downtown, I would have thought that would have been a great thing to have. But when you throw, Ticonderoga is founded on water. The quality of it, and the volume of it, and the power of it. The power of it has been given away already. Let's not give any more away. It's what made this town. Step up and sit down at a computer and do your homework. You want another engineering source? Call Todd Hodson at Elizabethtown. I spoke with him last week. He very well remembers the conversation that he and I had when he was with AES, and was flabbergasted when I told him that they had not followed any part of that engineering report that was turned in 2015. I ought to tell you something. You can bring in Tom Jarrett, who has written I don't know how many pages of rules and regulations for DEC and the Department of Health. Probably one of the biggest water hydrologists in the state of New York. He's in Glens Falls. He can come up here and give you the information that you haven't received to this point and help you make the right decisions for Ticonderoga. They haven't been made yet. In the best interest, according to the decree, in the best interest of Ticonderoga, the citizens of Ticonderoga, this information, there isn't a mention anywhere in any of the engineering reports about the hardness of the wells. They knew it in 2014, and then they drilled another one. That's a blind leading the blind.
The engineer said when they looked at the core samples that they knew that it was hard. He said it at one of the meetings here.
They knew it before, they did water tests shortly after the first well was drilled.
Yeah, he said that they knew when they looked at the core samples.
Okay, and then they drilled again.
Okay, we've been over this.
Hey Joyce, what
Well,
are
then,
your feelings on all of it? I mean, I know, you
Why are you
guys are,
singling me out?
Because I like what you said to Dave, and I noticed you had a big heart. What is wrong with that?
What about,
Forgive me for, I'm singling you out because I see you have a good heart. I see everybody else with their heads down.
there's a couple other guys sitting there that have got a lot of background in construction and in engineering.
Let's
and
push
hydraulics.
this to a referendum, Joyce.
They haven't said anything, I don't know why.
Well, they were at all the other meetings.
But why aren't they saying anything now? There's a.
Because everything you're
Because
saying,
we
we've talked about, we've been through it, and I have done some research, and I have looked at the ADS plans, I've looked at the other plans, I've looked at this plan, and everything leads back to the fact that to rehabilitate, if you will, renovate the Gooseneck Dam and bring it up to proper specs, it's a $35 million project. You don't want to hear it, but that's a fact, and so that's where we are.
Well, we've got this great president that's gonna give us some infrastructure.
Part of the water
You
district, why isn't that being-
got $500,000.
Don't holler, I'm not.
You got $500,000 for your own private building, and you're on this board. You're telling me you can't get more?
Calm down, Dan.
Think about it, guys. You can work for yourself here and get money, but you can't fight for our water?
We are fighting.
We have.
I don't hear that.
We have been for years.
We've sent
We have that.
letters to the governor,
Mr.
we've
Cunningham.
sent letters to Stack, we've sent letters to
Mr.
Gillibrand,
Cunningham,
Schumer.
I would like to
Trying to
point
get
out
money.
a couple of things to you, okay? Not the least of which is the workman's fiasco on Grace Avenue just the other day, okay? Those plans, some of them were done 2012, 2013, okay?
20 years ago, they did that, they looked at.
I had discussions with AES at the time, okay? I know what that work costs. They can project any number they want. The truth is when you open the bid. And as a contractor, I know that, Dave knows that. You don't know what it's gonna cost, you can estimate it, okay? And my experience estimating, I would like to think, was pretty good. My record of completion and getting the work I needed was pretty good for 50 years. I disagree with what they're proposing for cost. Because my experience, I'm not an engineer, I'm a contractor. I studied construction technology. I worked for a very high-end clientele that could hire the best engineers and architects. You know, I mean, and that, I was lucky because I got to work with those people. And I would like to think I learned from them. I'm not here to fight, to cause a war. I'm here to fight one if need be, but I want my town to get the right kind of treatment. And right now, with the attitude that you all are taking, if you say you've been online, I'd like to spend an hour with you, sitting at a computer. Let's see what you find then. That is a challenge. You tell me when you're available, and I will be.
I'd like to make a comment.
Sorry for raising my voice, but I am very frustrated for the people on that mountain and now the people in the village.
Okay,
Okay, Matt Fuller knows me. I was sitting with the board and the engineers and stuff, and we were looking at Gooseneck Water several years ago and whatnot. And one of the reasons why Chilton Hill and Eagle Lake were not put as part of the water district when it was all formed was due to the cost. And the paperwork that we were looking at and were given from engineers down for the town, the cost 20 plus years ago to bring Gooseneck Pond up to compliance, run all the piping down, put it in the water system, filtration system, at that time exceeded $33 million. That's 20 plus years ago. So I don't know what the inflationary rate and bringing that 20-year-old project up to today, probably we're maybe looking at $45, $50 million. So the cost of putting Gooseneck Pond back on servicing the town Because the piping, one of the things is the piping is not designed to handle the number of people in the town. So all the piping from the pond, all the way down here, all has to
Excuse me.
Let him speak, please.
You've had
Let him
to-
speak.
all the piping, one of the reasons why they were looking at it is the piping could not handle the water flow necessary to supply enough water down here to the town. I love Gooseneck Pond water, matter of fact, sometimes I don't like it because it's too soft.
So for 90 years it's delivered, and now you're saying it can't deliver?
The town has grown, the demand for water in
No,
town.
we still have Lake George.
I'm not talking Lake George. I'm not
Well,
talking-
we gotta split it up. We're not feeding the whole town, Gooseneck. It's part of the system.
It's part of this, but according to what with the information we shared in those meetings with the engineering firm and the town supervisors, some board members did attend, and I was the only volunteer that sat in those meetings, although hundreds were invited. That cost to upgrade Gooseneck to supply the village and town of Ticonderoga at that time was $33 million. So you're right, it did not include Lake George. Lake George was not a viable option because they were only looking at Gooseneck water. And I think it was in the early 90s is when they voted, they asked the landowners on Chilton Hill Eagle Lake if they want to be part of the water district down here, and they voted no. This creates another problem for up there. But at that point, in the early 90s, so now we're talking 30 years ago, now that I'm trying to put these into perspective, then it was a $33 million project. I'm not including Lake George because that was not part of the analysis done at that time. Pulling water out of Lake George is a cheap, but they do pull some water out of Lake George, I believe, now down here.
Do you mind if you get done, I'd like to address
Okay.
what you're saying.
Okay.
Okay. Number one, there've been a lot of studies done about water and where it comes from, who's in this district and who's in that district. Okay? If we're going to go back to what was done in the past, when the village dissolved and the town took over the water system, the Eagle Lake Gooseneck people should have been included in the base district because they were already part of it. But a group of people from the village came up with a thought that we needed contract users. So anyone outside of the old village limits was considered a contract user. Okay? Number two, Gooseneck hasn't been able to supply the entire town 40 years? When was Baldwin put in?
66.
66. Okay, so since 66,
That's before my time.
the town, well, not before mine, okay? Since 66, the town has known there was a need for waters other than just Gooseneck. So we tied into Lake George. We have a permit out of Lake George for 1.5 million gallons a day, I think.
2 million.
2 million, which is far in excess of what Ticonderoga's needs are going to be for the foreseeable future. And between the two plants, they will more than adequately sustain Ticonderoga's water needs.
What two plants?
Lake George
Okay.
and Gooseneck. The dam in Gooseneck is going to need repair.
Definitely.
Does it need to be today? Does it need to be next month, next year, 10 years, 15 years? Excuse me, okay, excuse me, I'm still going, okay? We know that it's going to need addressing in the future. The piping is not large enough to supply the total need. That's been the case since 66. That's a known entity. And it doesn't all need to be replaced because you're not going to supply the whole town with just Gooseneck. So that blows your cost studies right out the window.
Okay. We're just going back in time now and repeating the things that we've said before. So
What's he saying?
I'm gonna cut this short.
He's saying we're repeating ourselves, that our voice doesn't matter. That's what he said. Once again, we don't matter, but we're gonna matter very shortly.
Okay.
I promise you, Mark. Enjoy your ride.
I'd like to take a minute, if I could, we've got this board.
Okay, go ahead. You got 1 minute. I'll give you 2.
First, I'd like to welcome you. Thank you. And I don't know you. I'm Cunningham. I'm Victor LaValle. I know that lady over there. And Mr. Woods, we've known him for quite a while, and I'd like to congratulate you as the supervisor of Ticonderoga. And,
Okay, your minute's up.
I can't carry on a dialogue with you because I don't have any hearing aids.
Thanks for the humor.
Really, the only reason I came down here tonight was to see what kind of hearing aids I might need. If these meetings are gonna continue, I'm gonna have to get some because I'd like to hear what everybody has to say here. But, looking at the issue we have right now, I really feel that it's fair to say the town of Ticonderoga has never had one informational meeting as to the hardness of this water out here coming out of these wells and what that means to their homes. What that means, the system we got here, the system we got now takes care of our storage. But what are the effects of hard water? They're destructive. Ticonderoga, Mr. Ganell's not wrong. Hard water is in the neighborhood of about 7 grains per gallon. What do we got out here in these wells? Can you tell me what the hardness of that water is out there in those wells? 12 plus. Huh? 12 plus. Got 12 plus what? 5?
No, it's around 12, changes, but from my understanding, it's around 12.
Well, I've seen reports where those grains are as high as 18 now. 15 is extremely hard water. To give you just a reference, the water that comes out of Lake Champlain, that the city of Burlington uses, 4 grains per gallon. Not 8, not 12, not 16, not 18. It doesn't make any difference. The extremeness of that water is going to ruin the town of Ticonderoga, just like Mr. Grinnell said. And you can prove that. We could have just a couple informational meetings and pull some guys in that would explain that to you.
We don't need an information meeting.
They-
You just told us everything we need to know.
What? They did?
We don't need an informational meeting. Everybody's pointed it out for the last hour.
Well, you need an
So
information.
why are you doing it again? He's already said it 5 times.
You need an informational meeting to you got to educate the rest of the people.
You just educated.
Would you want to give them this hard water without asking them what they wanted? Don't you think they have a
Referendum?
right to tell you what they
Can we do
want?
that? Referendum in the fall? Dave? Yes or no?
No, seriously.
He's not gonna answer that right now.
Why not?
Because I said so.
Oh.
It's fair to say that they haven't educated the people of Ticonderoga. They don't even know what the hell is going on here.
That's what you're saying.
They don't understand.
Okay, I can only hear one person at a time, please.
This is enough. We've gone through this, we've gone through this at other meetings. We don't need, we've heard your arguments, we've heard your claims and your statements. We don't need to repeat them anymore. I appreciate the information on the hard water.
Well, I can't hear what half of you're saying, because some of them are talking, you're talking in my ear. Jesus Christ.
Well, I wasn't finished.
Well, please finish it.
But, I'd like to know what you're gonna do.
Nothing.
What are you gonna do with this issue? You just gonna keep on going, or what's gonna happen here?
On the hard water?
Huh?
On the hard water issue? Yes.
Yeah.
Right now, our issue is,
I want to know what you're gonna do. You're gonna use, I've seen the AES plans, you know. There's 15 documents on your website, and they're very informative, and I've read them all. And, but I think it's fair to say, the people of Ticonderoga, you haven't had one good informational meeting to explain this water hardness, the seriousness of that hard water that's coming out for the town of Ticonderoga. From a user standpoint, nobody knows. We're seeing it because I talked to Don Harvey yesterday. Don was an engineer for IP. He's been retired for 30 years. I said, Don, what do you think's going on here? What's your opinion about using that water that's out there in Street Road? I think you ought to take your lumps right now and shut it off. I got a hot water problem, I got some other problems there. Other people I know in the town have got problems. International paper companies had serious problems, that was just under $100,000. And you can ask Jim O'Brien, he's the one that gave me that information. You got the hospital, they had problems. You got Tony's up there. People are not going in and using their car wash now because of the hardness of that water.
I understand, I don't need a list, I understand.
You got cafeterias that are experiencing the same kind of water problems here that this hardness is causing in our pipes, so. I guess the fair question would be is, when I saw that notice of petition, does the town board have the responsibility to provide its citizens with the best possible water? That's question number one.
Well, obviously.
And question number two is, how are you going to inform the people of town of Ticonderoga? Don't you think that you could hold a referendum? Is that a fair way to ask them what they want?
Well, we've held a public meeting on our board meetings every month.
You gotta ask them what they want.
For the
How are you
last
gonna ask
several
them?
years, when this was all being discussed, and all those subjects came up during those meetings.
So why can't you put it on a referendum?
I think we really got a real serious problem here. That's gonna be challenging for us. We don't, just take your hot water. Just take your hot water heater. What's that do to your energy costs?
We understand the effects of hard water.
It's 25% of your heating costs
I'm
these
going to
days.
stop you now. We've heard the effects of hard water. We understand that. We appreciate the information.
I'd like you to tell me what you're gonna do. Do we have to educate the people too? Because if we do, we will. And then this is gonna move forward in a different way.
That is entirely up to you, what you choose to do.
You know, I'm trying to get here so that we need to get together, we need to sit down and decide really how we're gonna address this
Trying
problem.
to get together on this for several years. Wayne, if you're just gonna prolong the discussion.
I'm gonna thank you for giving me the opportunity to discuss this problem. Thanks very much.
I just was gonna say, is, the fact that the water is hard, it was hard to start with, and it's gotten.
Please, I can't hear Wayne. Thank you.
The fact that the water is hard, it was hard when we first tested it, they first drilled the well, it was like a 120 or 140. And they tell me now it's like 180, 200, and again, I don't know the scale. But I'm wondering if that would in any way constitute new information or pose undue hardship, where you might be able to revisit that Department of Justice consent order. I mean, in terms of, you know, an arguable point, I mean, it's something that would, they don't understand that you're in a court order.
I don't believe that they had a requirement in the Safe Drinking Water Act for hardness of water. It was just safety of water.
Exactly.
Understanding that hardness is an issue, but that was not their.
It wasn't a regulatory requirement.
It's not a
Hardness was not
regulatory-
specified.
Right, not the-
You know, this Crown Point was like a 360,
Right.
you know, running, and that was kind of the mindset at the time, was talking 120, a third of what Crown Point was. But again, the fact that it is getting harder, it's incrementally getting harder, and causing undue hardship on a community where 50% are on fixed income, public assistance, pension, whatever. I mean, again, it's a hardship for a lot of people.
The hardness.
I bought a softener, $1,300, I'm running one, you know, my own, but not everyone can afford a softener.
The hardness of the water does not decrease the cost of repairing gooseneck, though.
The thing of it is, Mark, we were only cited for the uncovered storage of gooseneck and a contaminated clear well at Lake George. The other stuff, the contact time, we had a filtration avoidance for the filter plant at gooseneck. There was things that weren't necessarily, didn't have to be addressed with a $14 million behemoth that we ended up with.
Thanks, Wayne.
Just FYI.
Public discussion still open. I have one more question that never got answered.
Sure.
Can I have each one of you let me know whether somebody can go down there and maintain that?
I said, I don't see anything wrong with it. Matt said it was a
Is
town
it a
board
legal
decision.
issue?
If,
Why is it a legal issue?
No, it's not.
Maintain it
Three or
properly.
If we volunteers are doing it, that's all.
Why is it
Samaritan law
I'm
covered?
living here, please.
I think he's talking about volunteers.
I don't believe,
I mean, obviously, they don't get anything.
I don't believe Tom has any prohibition for volunteers doing anything.
They're covered under the Good Samaritan rule. Volunteers are covered under the Good Samaritan rule.
I volunteered my equipment down there and took care of the whole, that whole thing down by the intersection for it. With my tractor, I was going all around that stuff and dug up stuff for it a number of years ago.
I volunteered for years.
I know that, but my point is, I didn't want to go down there without permission to do it, that's my point.
My only concern is the fact that we're being watched because of the Migratory Bird Act.
Hey, thanks.
And also because of the
Appreciate it.
cattails, and that's my concern. I don't want it to come back and bite us.
And I can't imagine why it won't.
Excellent.
You guys all set for that?
Yeah, we're fine.
Okay.
We will take you up if we get fined by the EPA, so don't cut any cattails.
I don't mean to cut that, but I don't want
And
to cut
Tracy
grass
Blackbird,
on
Red
this
Wing
side.
Blackbird.
It's ridiculous.
That's fine.
The neighbors are encroaching on it.
I get it, we've heard it, yeah.
Done with that part, Jeff.
Honestly, we've heard you over and over again, I get it, I get it.
No, I do not.
Well, I asked
You don't want to hear about it.
Here, later on the show.
You may have things that I found next month.
We're still trying to conduct
If you're gonna
business.
have a conversation, take it outside, please.
Sorry, Mark. I'm getting a little more annoyed.
We'll
Last week.
have on the docket to introduce next month some changes to our unsafe buildings law. As we working pretty closely with Dave on moving things through the court system. So we're past proposed issues that have made their way in court and we're working with the judge. So far, the process is working well, but in the context of, working through those cases, we always find things, right? Hey, if we had this in our law, maybe I might be able to do this. Until you get facts that actually apply to the law, you don't always see hypotheticals. So anyway, when we do that, take the opportunity to update the law. So we'll come in next month and introduce that stuff to the line. We're not going to go forever. Well, no, he thought we're tearing up and moving forward. The judge is on board moving forward too. So we'll just keep going. It's good. We are trying to schedule the date up here too. But on the economic standpoint, we moved to the town about to make a separate trip last Tuesday. So that's on my back here. And I will be following up with private justice and EPA.
I'll make a motion.
We,
I don't have to.
Can I trade seats with you guys?
nobody has anything.
Honest to God. I'm tired of it.
Anybody want some moonshine?
Why do people not realize when you get angry that it just,
I can't hear anything. Is the meeting over?
Yes, the meeting's over, Heath.
Thank you.
Hi, Judge.
What they